Am I going to let folks in? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jordan, and on behalf of the Dallas Public Library, I want to thank you for coming to grow with us this morning, whether you're watching live or you're watching the live stream recording later on. Today, we're going to have some great content. I just want to give you a couple of housekeeping notes ahead of time. One is that as an attendee, you do have your camera and microphone muted so we can keep the focus on our presenters. But if you do have any questions throughout the process, we are accepting questions in the chat box, and I'll go ahead and ping that in a second just so you can see where it is. The other is just a note that we are recording this, so if you do have to drop out for some reason, you can catch it later on our YouTube page. There should be some follow-up resources that our staff will send out to the email list as well. With that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Nedra, who will introduce our speaker today.
Thank you, Jordan. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's program. As Jordan said, my name is Nedra Richard Morgan, and I work in the Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. Our division is one of 70 city departments and divisions, and our day-to-day focus is on the environment and all things involving it. Our topic focus ranges from A to Z, air quality to green living to zero waste. For an example, under the topic of green living and air quality, the City of Dallas has a new first urban forest master plan, and you will be hearing more about it in the months ahead. I just spent time working at a booth at the Texas State Fair representing the city and our department. So I enjoyed seeing thousands of families out with their children at the beautiful Texas Discovery Gardens, the just reopened Dallas Children's Aquarium, and throughout the entire fair. At the fair, children have space to run, jump, and be awed by everything from butterflies, turtles, and birds at the Soar show to the lights and sounds of the Midway rides. They need all of this to make them healthy, smarter, and happier. Today's program is a perfect topic for continuing the effort to get children outdoors and engaged in nature. And I'm expected to be presenting our speaker. The program is entitled Your Fall Bucket List. And for good reasons, we all have a list of things we want to do right now, whether an outdoor tour, at home, or someplace we want to go. The weather is cooler and the air is crisp, the right ingredients for a venture. Today, we focus on reconnecting with the great outdoors as Mother Nature starts getting the landscape and the wildlife around us ready for winter. But before I introduce our guest speaker today, I wish to also mention our ongoing partnership with the Dallas Public Library. The partnership is what makes the programming possible, and we are very proud of the teamwork. It is my pleasure to welcome our guest, Sarah Coes. Sarah is no stranger to our program. Sarah was a past guest on Earth Day Every Day. She and other partnering organizations presented on various outdoor locations around the state of Texas. Sarah Coes is the executive director for Texas Children in Nature Network. Texas Children in Nature Network is a grassroots network of over 500 partner organizations and individuals dedicated to connecting children and families with nature in Texas to be healthier, happier, and smarter. The Texas Children in Nature mission is to ensure equitable access and connection to the nature for all children in Texas. Professionally, Sarah has been working within the informal education system for the last 14 years. It is a pleasure to have Sarah here today. Help me welcome her to the virtual podium. Sarah?
Thank you, Nedra, and thank you everyone for having me today. I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. You give me just a second here to share my screen. So just was to go through your fall nature bucket list. Fall in Texas is my favorite time to spend time outside. It is finally getting cooler. It's perfect weather for going out and exploring. In fact, I spent all day yesterday outside going to a fall festival and getting to see lots of fun pumpkins, which I'm going to talk about a little bit in the presentation. So just a little bit about who we are. Again, our mission is to ensure equitable access and connection to nature for all children in Texas. And we do this because we know, and the research shows, that kids who spend time outside are healthier, happier, and smarter. So just kind of get us started here. Our bucket list, we're going to look at all of these things. We're going to match leaf colors, talk about hiking, paddling, or cycling in nature. We're going to make an acorn whistle, build a campfire, go to a fall themed program, make a critter out of nature, take pictures, plant something, go for a picnic, and look at birds. So the first one I wanted to talk about was just matching the color of fall leaves. So as leaves are starting to turn in Texas, it's a really fun activity to do with your kids is to just go for a hike and look and see what colors you can find. Go to the hardware store, pick up some of these paint sample sheets, and just head out and see what colors you can find. I know that for a lot of us, we wonder like, okay, so where can we go to find those leaves? And both of these pictures here were taken here in Texas. This top one is some flaming sumac. It is a tree that is often kind of understory, which means it's a little bit lower on the trails. And it is one of the first things in Texas to turn to red. And even if you are in a place where there's lots of green leaves, you might be able to start seeing that flaming sumac in the next couple of weeks starting to turn red. In fact, I took this picture here right outside my apartment complex on the sidewalk. So you do not need to go far to find it. You can find it pretty close to home. This other picture was taken just in a city park in Houston in kind of mid-November. For us in Texas, you know, a lot of people start thinking early October is when they're going to start seeing fall color. For us, it tends to be early November. So kind of early November, mid-November, you're going to start seeing that fall color come out. But I also have a few great places. So if you want to jot these down, a few great places to go. Closest to y'all, a really great place to see some fall color is going to be the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens. They have really planted their garden, especially their Japanese garden within their botanic gardens is really planted to really show off that fall color. And so it's a great place to go. Bring those paint chips and see what you can find. Garner State Park is another great one to see some fantastic fall color along with McKinney Falls State Park. And the most famous is obviously Lost Maples State Park. If you don't already have reservations here to Lost Maples this fall, get them quick. They fill up real fast in the fall because that's where everyone's going to go to see that color, and it is gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. Some other good ones are Enchanted Rock. Caprock Canyon State Park has some beautiful, especially in the yellows, lots of good yellows there. Colorado Bend State Park has some really good stuff, as does Tyler State Park if you want to head east a little bit. And then if you want to head out to one of our national parks, one of our most beautiful national parks in Texas is Guadalupe Mountains National Park, and it's actually one of the least visited of all of the national parks. And it really, I highly recommend heading out to Guadalupe Mountains. It's my favorite national park within the state. It is gorgeous, and it's just got tons of great fall color for you to check out. I see I have some questions in the chat. Oh, just some, you know, City Hall has trees that change every year. Fantastic, definitely. You can see fall color anywhere. Sometimes you have to look for it a little bit, and definitely exploring your local parks and seeing what you can find is a great way to go on that explore. And if you pick up from greens, oranges, yellows, and reds in terms of activities, paint chips, you can find all of them on your walks. Next up, we have hike, paddle, or cycle in nature. All of us have our favorite way to move through nature. I personally am a hiker. I'm starting to become more of a paddler. I'm really good at paddling in circles. I'm not real good at paddling straight yet, but I'm getting there. And so you don't have to be a perfect to get out there, but find a way that you love to move through nature and go out and see what you can find. It's a great way to experience cooler temperatures, get to smell that cool, crisp, fresh fall air, and definitely, again, get to see lots of cool color. Also, lots of our animals in Texas are starting to bed down for winter, so you can see some fun, different activities. And then like our deer are in rut, and so you can see them walking around with their giant antlers right now, all kinds of fun stuff. Next up, we have make an acorn whistle. So for this, what you're gonna do is you're gonna find one of these acorns out there. Now this year is an acorn year. So if you don't know, most oak trees only have acorns every other year. So this year is an acorn year. So what you're gonna do is get an acorn, pop that top off, and you're gonna create kind of like a triangle with your thumbs over the bigger side of the acorn top. And you can whistle through it, kind of like you would whistle through grass. And it takes some experimentation to get it right, but it's a fun way to experience nature, to feel the acorns, to smell the acorn up close, but also to make a little bit of music while you're out there as well. Next up, oh no, I don't know what happened to my photos. I'm sorry. Build a campfire and make some s'mores. So right now, head out to a state park, a national park, even some LCRA parks or water quality parks that are out that allow camping and allow day use where they do have some campfire spots available. Head out there with your graham crackers and your marshmallows and your Hershey's chocolate and make you some s'mores. It's a great chance to spend some time as a family. It also is a fantastic opportunity to really get to spend some time out in the outdoors, look at some stars, and really experience really some great calming effects of campfires. So it has been lots of research that shows that humans actually do have an endorphin hit when they're around a campfire, and it calms us, and it's a great way to just kind of de-stress. Plus, you get to eat a s'more, and who doesn't love a s'more? So next up, we have go to a fall-themed program. So head out to one of your nature centers and check out a program there. Some great ones that are close to you that I know of are at the Dallas Arboretum. They've got their pumpkins out right now. Head out there. You can go to the state parks near you. They all have fantastic, especially Halloween themed programs this month. They're really cool. But a great resource here for you to check out is naturerocksnorthtexas.org. And it is an opportunity for you to just look up, put in your zip code or a zip code you're traveling to, and see what programs are coming up. Our partners put their programs up on there. It's a great way for you to see, okay, I'm gonna be here on this Saturday, what's going on, and find some fun programs there. If you give me just a second, I'm gonna see if I refresh this, I can get the pictures to show up. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. We've got some activities here. And once again, that website is naturerocksnorthtexas.org. Next up, we have make a leaf character or animal. So when you're out there looking at your color swatches and finding leaves, pick up a few of those leaves. And when you get home, you can be creative and see what you can find. So see what you can make. So here we have a little kind of leaf jellyfish that we made, that you can use that to make things. You can make something flat on a piece of paper, or I've seen people use both leaves and acorns or pine cones, whatever they have near them, to make something 3D as well. But it's a great way to play with all of those bits get those creative juices flowing, and then also just see what you can create. And it's a fun way to use stuff that is available outside for us every day. So just hit the trail and take some pictures of nature. That is one of my favorite ways to experience nature, because not only am I experiencing it when I'm out there, but later when I get home, I can look at those photos again and relive that experience that I had looking for all that fall color. And actually, when we are looking at the mental health benefits of spending time outdoors, even just having some photos on your phone that you can look at when you're in a stressful situation works in bringing those stress levels down. And so it's a great way to just have a few on your phone, flip through them. Maybe if you're having a tough day at work or you're just really stressed out about something, it's a great way to kind of calm down and relax. You can head out with your phone or with a camera, but let's say maybe you don't have a camera, or you're with your 5-year-old and you're like, I don't really want to give my 5-year-old my phone for them to take photos. Take out a sketch pad, have them draw what they see. That works wonderfully as well. So in Texas, we have the great opportunity that we actually have 2 growing seasons. So we can plant stuff in the spring and we can plant stuff again in the fall, because we don't get as cold as other parts of the country. So we are right at the beginning of our fall planting season. So it's a great time to head out to the plant nursery near you, either go to one of the big box stores or go to your local nursery and see what they have available. But find some stuff that you really love. It can be plants, it can be vegetables. Right now, some great fall vegetables are things like your broccolis, your lettuces, your Brussels sprouts. All of those things love the getting cooler weather. Those are a great thing to plant this time of year, but also some beautiful flowers are available as well, like mums, pansies, things like that are a great thing to plant in the fall. And just get out there and playing in the dirt, even if it's just to play or to just plant a few things, is a great way to interact with nature this time of year. It's a great thing to do with small kids, because they get to go out and check out every day, see how their plant is doing. And it's also a great way to just spend some nice, wonderful time outside every day. Gets you outside, gets you active, and gets you some of that great vitamin D that we all need. Next up, we have going for a picnic. So as I said earlier, this is the best time of year to be outside in Texas. We have survived August and September, the hottest months that we have. We have made it through, and now it is a great time to head out to a park and have either a lunch or a fall and evening picnic. Bring your favorite picnic foods with you, whatever they may be. You can do what this family is doing, sit out in the grass. But a lot of our parks are starting to put in a lot more picnic tables or picnic areas. A lot of parks are also beginning to put more and more barbecue areas in place as well. So feel free to bring stuff to cook your meal as well, and maybe even combine this one with the build a campfire and make some s'mores and make it a great evening. And lastly, I have look for birds. So if you are not aware, Texas is one of the best places to look for birds, or the verb that I love to use is called birding, to go birding in the country. About 2/3 of all the birds in the United States pass through Texas during fall migration. So they are coming through right now. In fact, there was an advisory last night through Cornell University, who tracks all of the bird migration, that we are in a high point for bird migration right now. And one of the cool things is birds, if you don't know, a lot of our songbirds, so those are these cardinals, jays, chickadees, those small birds, all migrate at night. And so if you go out early in the morning or around sunset, that's going to be some great times to see some birds. I went out birding this past weekend. I went at sunset. I happened to be in Galveston. Galveston and all along the coast are really the best places to look for birds this time of year. but really anywhere in Texas is fantastic. I happened to be out in Galveston for work, and so I took an evening to head out to the state park in Galveston and do some birding, and I saw big flocks of scissor-tailed flycatchers. I saw big flocks of meadowlarks, and when I say a big flock, hundreds of these birds were flying around, getting set. It was evening, they were getting set to take off and fly across the Gulf of Mexico that evening. And it's really a fantastic sight to see. We also have lots of raptors or hawks flying through this time of year. Just about every raptor in North America passes through Texas at this time of year, specifically heading towards Corpus Christi. There's a place in Corpus Christi where they have a Hawk Watch International. It's an organization that counts hawks every year. They head out there and they count because they can get a pretty accurate count of all of the raptors in North America. Through that one spot in Corpus Christi. It's at Hazel Bazemore Park. So if you're heading down to Corpus to go down to the beach, maybe for fall break, that is a great place to check out. It's Hazel Bazemore Park. It's a city park. It is free. You're welcome to go there. And the people who are out there counting birds are more than happy to talk about what they're looking at while they're there. So that is the end of my bucket list. And so I just wanted to open it up for some questions. And I am happy to share this list with the library as well. I can share either the presentation or I've got a PDF of just the list as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. So we got a question from Nedra asking, where can you find the best fall colors in Texas?
So the absolute best place is going to be Lost Maples State Park. It fills up super fast this time of year because it is the best place to see colors, but you may still be able to get some reservations. Definitely recommend trying to get reservations for Lost Maples as opposed to just showing up this time of year. They will be full, but if you get reservations a few days ahead of time, usually you can get in, be able to enter. And if you reserve, they normally have like an 8 to 1 and a 1 to 8 time slot. If you reserve the 8 to 1, that doesn't mean you have to leave at 1. It just means you can enter at that time. So you can still spend the whole day out there looking at the leaves. Awesome. If you're looking for someplace that maybe isn't as crowded, I would definitely recommend someplace like Caprock Canyon, Colorado Bend State Park, Guadalupe Mountains National Park I've never been there when it's crowded because it probably only gets like 20,000 visitors a year. It doesn't get a ton of visitors throughout the course of the year, and it's a really big park. And then also close by, Fort Worth Botanic Gardens is a great opportunity.
Cool. And another one, Melinda is asking us, what are some of the best lakes for trails? So I guess lakes that have trails circumnavigating them or alongside.
There are some really great ones. Probably Cooper Lake State Park is really great, and that's not too far from y'all. I have had some really great hikes around there. Also, even along the Trinity River, there's a great trail system along the Trinity River if you are looking for someplace that's really close to home. Another great one, I would say lake-wise, I was just out at Brazos Bend State Park a couple of weeks ago, and it has a fantastic trail around its lake as well.
Awesome. I know a lot of our viewers that will watch on YouTube probably haven't, maybe have not spent a ton of time outside over the summer because it's so hot, or may just be interested in picking up kind of the hobby, going out to places like this for, the first time or the first time in a while. I had a question. Do you have any recommendations for like what they should pack, or, like if they're not used to taking these kind of excursions, like what's kind of the basics that they're going to need?
Yeah, that's a great question. I because I try to go out and just immerse myself in nature every weekend. So I have what I call my adventure pack that I keep packed, just because for me, it is what works easiest, but find what works best for you. So in my adventure pack, it is a specific backpack that I have saved for that. You do not need to do that in any way, shape, or form. It is just what works best for me, because if I have it packed, I'm not panicking in the morning about what I need to grab. But in it, I usually have 1 or 2 big water bottles. So I have one like this, it's 32 ounces. I usually take 2 of those full of water wherever I'm going. If it's going to be warm and I'm going to be out longer, I may have a cooler in the back of my car where I've got a couple more full water bottles that I can trade out for cold water halfway through the day. I have a first aid kit. And in that first aid kit, I just have kind of the basics. I've got Band-Aids, alcohol swabs, Neosporin, tweezers to take out splinters, a snake bite kit, just kind of the basics that I have in there. It's not very big. I just keep it in a quart-sized Ziploc baggie because I don't need more than that. But I have definitely used it when I have been out on the trail. So definitely make sure that you have a first aid kit. You're going to want some sturdy shoes. I in the summer have like kind of hiking sandals, but definitely a good pair of running shoes that have a good tread on them work great. It's just something that's kind of sturdy. Hiking boots are a great option as well. Also in my adventure pack, I have usually I'll throw in like a thin sweatshirt just in case I'm out there and it starts getting cool, especially this time of year. I also have a flashlight in there just in case I'm out there longer than I think I'm going to be and I need the light. I have bug spray and sunscreen, and definitely some hand sanitizer as well. All of that is in there. I usually pack my lunch to bring with me because I don't like having to stop and buy food, and just find whatever works best for you, that like what you like to eat. Usually mine is some fruits and veggies and a sandwich. And then I usually throw in a snack to have either on the drive home or something like that. Things like nuts, dried fruit work really well. I don't recommend granola bars with chocolate this time of year. It gets real melty and it gets real you get real messy. But yeah, that's pretty much what I pack and I bring with me. I also always bring my binoculars because I am a birder, and so I'm always looking for birds, but you definitely don't need that. You could even bird without it, so definitely not needed. In terms of picking up some new hobbies, a lot of our state parks have lots of different programs going on weekends. So if you're interested in learning about birding, or you want to learn about reptiles, or you want to learn about plants, or you want to learn how to paddle, you can do all of those things at the state parks, usually for free, through one of their programs, and it's a great way to try stuff out.
Very good. We got a shout out for the Lone Star Travel Guide. Is that something that you're familiar with?
Yeah, and actually I have a link that I was going to share for the top state parks for fall foliage, and I'm going to put that in the chat. Ooh. Helps if I get the whole link. There we go, put that in the link as well. So we have a question of spray or anything to scare off larger animals. When I am hiking through Texas, generally don't carry bear spray. If you're backcountry hiking in like Big Bend, Guadalupe Mountains, you might want to have some bear spray with you. If you're just regular, kind of the main trails out there, you generally don't, because usually what you're worried about there aren't actually bears, but are mountain lions, and they're going to leave the main trails alone. But in most parts of Texas, you don't need to worry about anything for the larger animals like you would if you were up in Yellowstone or someplace like that.
Very good. Vanessa is chiming in from the chat. Do you have any favorite apps for plant and bird ID?
I do. So for plant ID, I use an app called iNaturalist. It is a great app where you can take a photo, put it in, upload it, and it'll give you suggestions of what they think it is. You can look through the photos, try and figure it out. But also, if you still don't know, you can still upload the photo and put that you don't know what it is. And scientists are going through iNat all of the time. And so they'll look at it and help you identify it. So that's a great suggestion. Another one that I use for birds is the Merlin Bird ID app. And so there's two parts for Merlin. There's an app called eBird, which for people who are birders will often use to track their bird lists, but Merlin Bird ID is another app, just like iNat, it's free. Merlin Bird ID will give you the opportunity to help me identify my bird. And so you can click on it and it'll ask you the size, where you are, what the bird is doing, and then some colors of the bird. And then it'll kind of sort all of that. And it'll help you narrow it down to 5 to 10 choices. And you can scroll through there and see if it's any of those birds. If it's not any of those birds, there's even a button that says, not what I'm looking at, and it'll give you some more options.
Awesome. I've not heard of eBird before, and people are always singing praises about iNaturalist, but that's a nice addition as well.
Yeah, and for anyone who does use eBird, Merlin Bird ID has, when you've decided what bird it is, there's a button on there that says, take me to eBird. It'll take you there and you can add it to your bird list that you're keeping track of.
That's awesome. We're all about citizen science here.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions I have in the chat. If you have a question for Sarah and you haven't popped it in yet, I would recommend you put it in now so we can get that answered. Oh yeah, it's great. So Vanessa says if you want to use native plants in your landscaping, taking pictures of plants you like while hiking is a great idea. If you're hiking locally, especially, so you can see what would be growing here anyway.
That's a great suggestion. For any of you that are wanting to look for landscaping ideas and you have young kids, if you're looking for some good plants to use in good natives to use in your garden that are also really great to use with kids. Texas Parks and Wildlife just released a child-friendly plant list, and it's specifically geared towards schools. That is what it was released for, but you can certainly use it in your own garden to have some great suggestions for plants to have in your landscape as well. And I'll put a link to that real quick in the chat.
Very cool. Well, I don't have any additional questions. Sarah, is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up for the afternoon?
I don't.
Or anything you want to plug?
I guess just a few things to plug. We have our monthly webinars. So our next webinar is going to be on November 10th. And they are at both 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And our next one is on teaching culinary health in the garden. So if any of you are with community gardens or you're with schools that have gardens in them, and you are looking for ways to engage students in the garden, that would be a great webinar. And then we also have our summit, which will be in Fort Worth in December. So if anyone's interested in joining us for our summit, it's December 2 and 3 at the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens. And it's a great way to learn all about what all the different partners for Texas Children in Nature are doing.
Very good. Well, thank you again on behalf of all of us and our guests for joining us for today's Grow With Us. We're thrilled to have you with us, and hopefully we can all get to the bottom of our own fall bucket lists.
Yeah, and definitely, please, if you're going out and doing any of these activities, please feel free to use hashtag Texas Children in Nature. We would love to see the photos of all the stuff that y'all are doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, again. And thank you, Nedra. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Have a wonderful afternoon and get out there and see some wildlife.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.